Welcome back to a very special edition of According to Wikipedia with Bang and Dang, midweek.
Midweeker.
A midweek episode. As you guys know, all the bull crap that's happened since, well, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so since Saturday, and it's clearly ongoing, the old Israeli Gaza, what are they calling it? The October 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict is, I guess, the Wikipedia page calling it. And hopefully this comes out to you guys on Wednesday, which would be tomorrow for us. So not much has changed, but obviously this is an ever-changing article at the moment. Every day things are getting added. I think at the time of us doing this was last edited like 3 hours ago. So who knows? By the time we're done, there could be more stuff that happen.
Right.
You never even know. So obviously this isn't the full thing. Obviously, it's going to be going on and on and on. But this is already a long-ass article, so I can imagine what it's going to be in the coming days, weeks, and maybe even months. But nevertheless, yeah. The old October 7th, 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict on October 7th, 2023. Palestinian militant groups led by Hamas launched a large-scale invasion against Israel from the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian militant groups dubbed their assault Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, or the Deluge, whilst Israel named its counteroffensive Operation Iron Swords. Several news agency observers have described the ongoing conflict as the third intifada, following the prior Palestinian uprisings of the first and second intifadas. Others have referred to it as the Sukkot War after the festivities celebrated the day the attack started. Many analysts and officials have described the initial assault as Israel's 9/11 moment.
Oh, they got to dub it something.
Always do.
Geez, take a look at a little background. Why this is happening. Gaza Strip and Israel have been in conflict since the Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip in 2005. Hamas gaining control of the Gaza Strip after elections in 2006 and a civil war with Fatah in 2007. The Gaza Strip has been under an Israeli-Egyptian blockade since 2007, leading Human Rights Watch to call the Strip an open-air prison. Furthermore, Gaza is closed off from the rest of the world, and access to resources, including food, water, and electricity, is almost entirely controlled by Israel. Like 63% for electricity.
Almost entirely.
Right. They got 23% of their own. The blockade has caused significant economic hardship within Gaza and was cited by Hamas as one of the reasons for its offensive. Dude, all of Israel is nothing anyway. I don't understand it. People want to flock here, and there's barely any water. You can't grow shit unless you're along the riverbanks. Oh, along the riverbanks.
It's the Holy Land, man.
I guess.
Obviously. 2023, there were several violent flare-ups in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Prior to the attack, including combatants and civilians on both sides, at least 247 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli forces, while 32 Israelis and 2 foreign nationals had been killed in Palestinian attacks. That pales in comparison what just happened in the last 4 days between both.
Right.
2023 also witnessed the rise of Israel's far-right government, which has ramped up settlement construction in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, an increase in Israeli settler attacks there, which has displaced hundreds of Palestinians, and tensions flaring around a flashpoint Jerusalem holy site, the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot to contest over there.
There is. The commander of the Izz-ad-Din el-Qassam brigades, Mohammed Deif, he said in a recorded message on the first day of the attack that it was in response to the desecration of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Israel killing and wounding hundreds of Palestinians this year. He called on Palestinians and Arab Israelis to expel the occupiers and demolish the walls of Israel. Of Jerusalem?
Israel built a shit ton of walls after Gaza. They left Gaza.
He also added that the operation was launched so the enemy will understand that the time of their rampaging without accountability has ended.
He continued, in the light of the continuing crimes against our people, in light of the orgy of occupation and its denial of international laws and resolutions, and in light of American and Western support, we've decided to put an end to all this so that the enemy understands that he can no longer revel without being held to account. The attack took place during the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah on Shabbat, sorry guys, and a day after the 50th anniversary of the start of the Yom Kippur War. which also began with a surprise attack.
Yep.
September, 2 to 3 weeks of violence occurred at the Israel-Gaza separation fence. On September 29th, Qatar, the UN, and Egypt mediated an agreement between Israel and Hamas officials in the Gaza Strip to reopen closed crossing points and de-escalate tensions.
Right. Just do it.
That was literally 2 weeks ago.
Right. It goes on to say Israel and Saudi Arabia are conducting negotiations to normalize relations with Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He recently stated that the normalization was for the first time real. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry said in a statement that it had repeatedly warned that Israel's ongoing occupation of Gaza would propel further violence.
Well, let's take a look at some Palestinian prisoners. This is obviously leading up to the attack. Since 1967, Israel's estimated to have arrested over 800,000 Palestinians. 40% of Palestinian males have been in an Israeli jail at some point in their life. As of 2023, there are an estimated 4,500 to 5,200 Palestinians in Israeli prisons, including 170 children. Damn. Whoa. Some of these prisoners have been convicted in Israeli courts of terrorism.
Hey.
Israel has also detained 1,200 Palestinians without any charges or trial, also known as administrative detention.
Well, that's not cool.
No, the length of detention for these detainees is a year on average.
Oh, wow.
Israel keeps allegations against these prisoners secret, citing security reasons. Or, you can just say security reasons and just we don't have no reason.
Right. The issue of prisoners is considered emotional for both Israelis and Palestinians. And many prisoners seen as heroes by Palestinians are seen as terrorists by the old Israelis.
Well, isn't that the way it goes when you have two conflicting sides?
I guess. Prisoner exchanges have long been practiced in the Arab-Israeli conflict.
Arab.
Right. In 2006, Hamas captured Gilad Shalit, forcing Israel to release 1,000 Palestinians. Some of those 1,000 Palestinians released had been convicted by Israel of terrorism as part of their prisoner swap. Hamas stated that it had abducted Israelis to secure the freedom of Palestinian prisoners.
All right, well.
Except for Hamas really don't even give a shit about Palestinians, dude.
Clearly.
That's the problem.
Well, that's why they hide their...
under hospitals.
I was going to say, that's why they hide their operation places under, residential buildings and shit like that. And then on the news, when residential buildings get blown up, they're like, Israel just massacring people.
Right.
No, what they don't know is Israel has bombs that are specially designed. They're called roof knocks.
Yeah.
They just land on the roof and let people know in about 10 minutes, we're going to destroy this place. So get the hell out. Nobody else does that.
And plus, supposedly, Israel told them on Sunday, all the people in Gaza, you guys got 48 hours. And then supposedly...
We'll get there.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Let's take a look at the timeline of leading up to here. You can go to a chronological guide and see the timeline of the October 2023 Israel-Gaza conflict. For a more comprehensive list, see list of military engagements during the October 2023 Gaza-Israel. They already have 70 pages on these,
ridiculous.
Battles and everything, dude. It's stupid. Let's take a look at the Palestinian offensive and the rocket barrages. Around 6:30 a.m. Israel summertime on 7th October 2023, Hamas announced the start of what it called Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, stating that it had fired over 5,000 rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israel within a span of 20 minutes. That's crazy. Israel sources reported that at least 3,000 projectiles have been launched from Gaza. At least 5 people were killed by the rocket attacks. That's the old Iron Dome doing what it needed to do there. Right. Explosions reported in areas surrounding the Strip and in cities in the Sharon Plain, including Jadera, Herzliya, Tel Aviv, and Ashkelon. Sorry, guys, we don't speak Israeli.
Get the names wrong, just deal with it.
Air raid sirens were also activated in Beersheba, Jerusalem, Rehovot, Rishon LeZion, and Palmashim Air Base.
Hamas issued a call to arms, with senior military commander Mohammed Deif calling on Muslims everywhere to launch an attack. Damn. Palestinian militants also opened... Damn, he meant everywhere.
Right.
Ooh, no. Palestinian militants also opened fire on Israeli boats off the Gaza Strip, while clashes broke out between Palestinians and the Israel Defense Forces in the eastern section of the Gaza perimeter fence. In the evening, Hamas launched another barrage of about 150 rockets towards Israel, with explosions being reported in Yavin, Givatayim, Bat Yam, and Beit Dagan, Tel Aviv, and Rishon LeZion. It was followed by another rocket barrage on the morning of the 8th of October, with one rocket hitting the Barzilai Medical Center in Ashkelon. Hamas also fired 100 rockets at Sderot on October 9th. Hamas fired another barrage in the direction of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, with one rocket landing near a terminal of Ben Gurion Airport. Why would they fire in Jerusalem? It's supposed to be a neutral place.
Oh, not really, because there's 4 sections: Christians, Muslims, Jews, and the other guys.
It's true.
Palestinians or whatever. Militant incursions into Israel. Let's take a look about that. Simultaneously, around 1,000 Palestinian militants infiltrated Israel from Gaza using trucks, pickup trucks, motorcycles, bulldozers, speedboats, and paragliders. Those bulldozers are still trying to get there.
You ain't getting.
Images and videos appeared to show heavily armed and masked militants dressed in black fatigue riding pickup trucks and opening fire in Stero, killing dozens of Israeli civilians and soldiers. Other videos appeared to show Israelis taken prisoner and burning an Israeli tank, as well as militants driving Israeli military vehicles.
Right.
They did.
We've all seen those videos. On that morning, a massacre unfolded in an outdoor music festival near Haim, resulting in hundreds dead, with many still missing and in hiding. Witnesses recounted militants on motorcycles opening fire on fleeing participants, who were already dispersing due to rocket fire that had wounded some attendees. Some were taken hostage. Some sources claim incidents of women getting raped and then moited. However, a LA Times article, which formerly recycled such claims, retracted it from its article, saying an earlier version of this column mentioned rape in the attacks, but such reports have been substantiated.
Not been substantiated.
Right.
Infiltrators were also spotted at Nir Oz, Be'eri, and Netev HaAsara. Sorry, guys, where they reportedly took hostages and set fire to homes, as well as in kibbutzim around the Gaza Strip. 200 civilians were slaughtered in the Kfar Aza kibbutz. I guess a kibbutz is a kibbutz is like a town or something. And according to some Israeli sources, at least 40 babies, some of whom were beheaded. Yeah,
Supposedly.
they just found those.
Yeah.
However, the Israeli army later stated that they could not confirm these allegations.
No.
15 people were killed in the Netiv HaAsara attack. Hostages were also reported to have been taken from Afakim, while homes in Sderot were set on fire.
Oh, man.
Hamas said it took prisoners to force Israel to release its Palestinian prisoners, claiming it had taken enough prisoners to secure the release of all Palestinian prisoners. We'll see. I doubt it now.
Right. Hamas
Israel pretty much said, screw those prisoners.
Right. And supposedly, yeah, Hamas militant carried out an amphibious landing in Zakim. Palestinian sources claimed that the local Israeli army base was stormed. The IDF said it had killed 2 attackers on the beach and destroyed 4 vessels, including 2 rubber boats. Oh, damn. A military...
They got the little $40 ones from Walmart.
Right. A military base outside Nahal Oz was also taken by the militants, leaving at least 2 Israeli soldiers moited and at least 6 others captured.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing because it's that holiday. Mm-hmm. And... everybody was pretty much on leave at that military base, so they knew.
Fighting was reported at Haim military base, headquarters of the Gaza division. It was later reported that Hamas took over the base and had taken several Israeli soldiers captive before the IDF regained control later in the day.
The police station at Sderot was reported to have come under Hamas control, with militants killing 30 Israelis, including policemen and civilians. Following the arrival of IDF reinforcements, soldiers surrounded the police station and regained control over it, killing at least 10 Hamas militants. Several Palestinian groups voiced their support for the operation. Of course they would. The National Resistance Brigades, the armed wing of the Secular Socialist Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, DFLP, confirmed their participation in the operation through their military spokesman, Abu Khalid. Khalid.
7th of October, they claimed to have lost 3 fighters in combat with IDF and said on the 8th of October that they were engaged with Israeli forces in Kfar Aza, Be'eri, and Kisufim. The PFLP, another Palestinian socialist militant group, and the Lion's Den, that group, they voiced their support for the operation and declared maximal alertness and general mobilization amongst their troops. And the Abu Ali Mustafa Brigades, which is the armed wing of the PFLP, they published videos of it storming Israeli watchtowers.
An Israeli military spokesman stated that the militants from Gaza had entered Israel through at least 7 locations and invaded 4 small rural Israeli communities, the border city of Sderot, and 2 military bases from both land and sea. Israeli media reported that 7 communities came under Hamas control, including Nahal Oz, Kfar Aza, Megan, Be'eri, and Sufa. The Erez crossing was reported to have come under Hamas control, enabling the militants to enter Israel from Gaza. Israeli Police Commissioner Kobi Shabtai said that there were 21 active high confrontation locations in southern Israel.
Damn.
Yep.
Damn. Well, what did Israeli do? Well, here's the response. 7th of October. The attack, which coincided with the Jewish holiday Simchat Torah, appeared to have been a complete surprise to the Israelis.
Well, we'll get to that later.
The day was regarded as the deadliest for the Jewish civilians since the end of the Holocaust.
It's true.
The Iron Dome air defense system was activated. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant conducted security assessments at Israel Defense Forces headquarters in Tel Aviv. Gallant later approved the mobilization of tens of thousands of Army reservists and declared a state of emergency for areas within 80 kilometers, which is 50 miles of the Gaza border.
Kilometers.
Kilometers.
He also said that Hamas made a grave mistake in launching its attack and pledged that Israel will win. Well, they might. Of course they will.
Right.
Maybe. The IDF declared a state of readiness for war. It also said that the reservists were to be deployed not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank and along the borders with Lebanon and Syria.
Clearly.
Residents in areas around the Gaza Strip were asked to stay inside, while civilians in southern and central Israel were required to stay next to shelters. Roads around Gaza Strip were closed by the IDF. The streets of Tel Aviv were also locked down. It was like COVID all over again. Nobody in the streets.
All right. Following this assault, Israel declared a heightened state of preparedness for potential conflict.
You guys should have already been in a heightened. You live in a war zone.
Right. The IDF declared a state of readiness for war. And Netanyahu convened an emergency gathering of security authorities. The IDF additionally reported their initiation of targeted actions in the Gaza Strip under what was called Operation Iron Swords. Israeli Police Commissioner Kobi Shabtai announced that a state of war existed, and following that, he called a massive attack from the Gaza Strip. He also announced the closure of the entire southern region of Israel to civilian movement, as well as the deployment of the Yamam counterterrorism unit to the area.
The IDF's chief spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said 4 divisions were deployed to the area, augmenting 31 pre-existing battalions. Israeli President Isaac Herzog said the country was facing a very difficult moment and offered strength and encouragement to the IDF, other security forces, rescue services, and residents who were under attack. In a televised broadcast, Netanyahu said, "We are at war." He also said that the IDF would reinforce its border deployments to deter others from making the mistake of joining this war. In a later address, he threatened to turn Gaza into a deserted island and urged its residents to leave now.
Better leave. Airports in southern and central Israel were closed and for commercial and private use, while Ben Gurion Airport and Raman Airport remained operational. Multiple airlines canceled flights to and from Israel.
I would assume so.
Others also offered a compensation or waivers for flights that had already been booked. Overnight, 7th and 8th October, Israel's security cabinet voted to undertake a series of actions to bring about the destruction of the military and governmental capabilities of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, according to a statement by the Prime Minister's office. The Israel Electric Company, well, it's a corporation, which supplies up to 80% of the Gaza Strip's electricity, cut off the power.
You were wrong.
Cut off power to the area. As a result, Gaza's power supply was reduced from 120 MWs to only 20, forcing it to rely on power plants paid for by the Palestinian Authority.
Oh, no, they got to rely on their own power plants?
Oh.
I mean, it's still messed up. Standoff in Be'eri and Ofakim. In Be'eri, I guess that's how you say it, Hamas militants took up to 50 people hostage.
Wow.
During a standoff between militants and IDF forces, videos emerged from Be'eri showing the hostages being led by Hamas militants barefoot across the street in town. Approximately 18 hours after the standoff began, the IDF announced that they had freed the hostages there. In the town of Urim, a suburb of Ofakim, 2 Israelis were rescued by the IDF. During the rescue, 4 Hamas militants were killed and 3 Israeli soldiers were injured.
Wow.
Damn.
All right, airstrikes. See what happened with airstrikes in the old Gaza Strip. IDF,
This is just on the 7th.
The IDF said it attacked targets in Gaza using fighter jets, reporting hitting 17 Hamas military compounds and 4 operational command centers. Among the locations struck was an 11-story Palestine tower in downtown Gaza City.
Yeah, that was the one that you seen.
All right, that housed Hamas radio stations on the rooftop. Israel also struck 2 hospitals, killing an ambulance driver and a nurse.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the morning of October 8th, starting the day. Overnight, Israel struck up to 426 targets in the Gaza Strip. Damn. The town of Beit Hanoun was mostly leveled by airstrikes, and the El Amin Mohammed Mosque was destroyed. Oh, they're going to be pissed.
There's weapons and all kinds of stuff there.
Targets also included various housing blocks, tunnels, homes of Hamas officials, and the Watan Tower, which served as a hub for internet providers in the area. One Israeli airstrike killed 19 members of the same family, including women and children. Survivors of the airstrike said there were no militants in their area, nor were they warned.
They were warned.
The Security Cabinet formally placed the country under a state of war for the first time since the 1973 Yom Kippur War.
I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, man, you can't forgive people just coming in and slaughtering like that, what happened in Israel. I was like, yeah, but you already know it's the exact same thing's going to happen in the Gaza Strip.
Yep.
Can't do it. I mean,
well, not to mention that, they're landlocked. They can't get out by the sea, can't get out on any of the borders. What the hell you expect? Civilians are going to die.
Right.
There's 2 million people, like I said, packed in a 25-mile long, 5-mile wide strip.
Unless they all run into the middle of the desert and just hunker down there.
Or just
But that sucks, too, because that's all the Hamas are. They'll follow them, and then they'll use them as
That's
shields.
what I'm saying, right.
So, I mean, it's shitty for both sides.
Yeah.
IDF stated that 2 hostage situations had been resolved. The IDF also said it had secured 22 locations from Palestinian forces, but we're still trying to clear 8 other locations, including Sderot and Kfar Aza. In one community, it rescued nearly 50 hostages. And that's cool. Several Palestinian gunmen riding in a stolen car. Several, so probably 5.
Well, whatever it holds.
They were killed by Israeli forces near Ashkelon following a shootout on a main road.
I hadn't seen that video.
Israeli forces also retook Sderot, the police station there, killing 10 militants. At that very same time, more Palestinian fighters were reported to have entered Megan, while 70 Palestinian reinforcements arrived at Be'eri.
All right. Evacuations of residents living near the Gaza Strip were ordered. And Netanyahu appointed former Brigadier General Gal Hirsch as the government's point man on the missing and kidnapped citizens. The IDF said it had called up to 300,000 reservists and said it was aiming to eliminate Hamas military capabilities and overthrow its rule over the Gaza Strip.
He was just like, you know what?
Taking them all out, man.
Instantly, 300,000. Boom.
It's their fault. They let them in power.
300,000. Boom. That's what the British should have done to the U.S. and the Revolutionary. They should have came in with like 100,000. I mean, seriously. And that's what the Union should have done to the Confederates.
They tried.
No.
Yeah.
There's always stupid little 30,000 men fights. Bring in 200,000 people.
Originally, it was 77,000 that Lincoln ordered.
He should have ordered everybody and just go and don't stop.
Both sides had almost 500,000 apiece soldiers.
They did. It's ridiculous. The IDF reportedly struck, let's look at October 9th. The IDF reportedly struck 500 targets in Gaza.
How many more targets are there?
Right, including the densely populated Jabalia refugee camp, causing dozens of casualties, including children. Damn it.
So stupid.
Idiots. I mean, IDF even came out and said, if it happens, it happens. If he dies, he dies.
They call them casualties of war for a reason.
He says, what are you going to do, right? IDF stated it established full control over Israeli towns around the Gaza perimeter fence.
I would hope so.
Right? Operations against militants continued in Sderot. Hamas said it would execute Israeli hostages if Israel continued to bombard civilian homes without advance warnings.
What is an advance warning? We're going to bomb you next week? I mean, come on. You give civilians warnings, you're giving you guys warnings.
Supposedly, Israel texted whoever had phones.
Yeah, they sent out alerts, emergencies, and like I said, they do the bomb or the roof taps.
And then it's supposedly...
But they're saying advance warning. They want hours upon hours.
And supposedly, Hamas was telling them, don't worry, stay.
Israel's doing this even though they know that the Hamas guys are getting all these messages too. They're going to leave anyways with them. Mm-hmm. So they're lucky you're even getting that. Israel has to play a fine line here because they know that the world's watching, and they know that the more civilians they kill, the more scrutiny they're going to come under, and blah, 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 blah.
They already shut off water, electricity, and stopped humanitarian aid. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced a total blockade of the Gaza Strip that would cut electricity, block the entry of food and fuel, adding that we are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly. Jeez, dude, that's rough. Human Rights Watch called the order abhorrent and called the International Criminal Court to make note of this call to commit a war crime. We're like, man, mark this shit down. The IDF said 15 communities around the Gaza Strip had been evacuated, so maybe that's what they're doing, just trying to get everybody out.
I guess. Well, let's look at the 10th of October, which is today as we're reading this.
So what do you do when you try to take everybody out? Do you leave behind any male that's over 10? Seriously, dude. They teach these dudes
that's what I'm saying.
11,
right?
12 years old over there.
We've seen women already celebrating with AK-47s. It's like, woo! So who knows, man? Who knows? It's a slippery slope there. 10th of October, Israeli forces reclaimed Kfar Aza and began collecting the dead, claiming they found babies and women decapitated in their houses. Reporters brought to the scene saw no dead babies, though.
All right.
Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, look at him, named that for himself, announced that any intervention in Gaza by the United States of America would result in Houthi intervention.
There don't need to be any involvement.
Israeli
by the
can take
United
care of
States.
themselves.
Right.
After we gave them everything, they should be able to.
They got the most advanced army in the world.
Right, well, besides ours.
No, they're more advanced than ours.
They're not.
They are.
They're not.
They are.
They're not. We gave them everything.
Right.
In the afternoon of the 10th of October, U.S. President, U.S. Vice President, former Vice President Joe Biden announced that Hamas has a goal. They set a goal of killing Jews. Well, they've always had that goal, which is nothing new to you guys.
Right. Egyptian fuel and aid trucks were seen turning back after Israel threatened Egypt that they would bomb any humanitarian aid going to the besieged Gaza civilians.
Israel said
from Egypt through Rafah crossing. Right.
Israel said Egypt. You just better turn around now.
Right. But Egypt, they're all given, which is fine. Humanitarian aid the United States has been giving humanitarian aid to the Palestinians for years.
Yes.
Gaza Strip.
Just gave them millions of dollars a couple weeks ago. A week ago or whatever.
European Union which is fine. Let's take a look at outside the Israel and Gaza Strip. Between the 7th and 8th of October, 11 Palestinian youths, including a 13-year-old boy, they were murdered in confrontations with Israeli forces throughout the occupied West Bank. I'm going to say murdered all the time because it's murder, no matter what, guys.
Right.
Killed, murdered, moited. On the morning of 8th of October, Hezbollah fired. See, you don't want Hezbollah to get involved. I'm telling you guys. That's rough. That's a little thing Israel does not want.
Hezbollah, it's nothing.
No, they're better. They're more than Hamas.
No.
Mm-hmm. Hezbollah fired rockets and shells at the Sheba Farms region. In response, IDF fired artillery shells and sent a military drone into southern Lebanon. They're like, you sons of bitches.
2 Lebanese children reportedly injured by broken glass. On the same day, an Egyptian policeman attacked Israeli tourists and their Egyptian guides in Alexandria, Egypt, killing 2 Israelis and 1 Egyptian and wounding a 3rd Israeli. See, they're trying to connect that too, but I don't think it was. Yeah. The policeman was detained by the Egyptian police. Video footage confirmed that a small unit belonging to the Palestinian militias had arrived at the Jewish settlement of Sagat near occupied East Jerusalem. According to the statement, the unit, made up of several fighters from Gaza, clashed with Israeli soldiers at the Kolandia checkpoint.
Okay. 9th of October, the IDF claimed to have killed several infiltrators from Lebanon and fired artillery across the border. Hezbollah denied involvement in the incident, though. Okay. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad militia later claimed responsibility for the armed infiltration. That's what I was going to say. That was most likely.
Yeah, Hezbollah is not doing nothing, dude. They know better.
Right. Well, they're just waiting to see who else comes along before they can come in. Later in the day, fighting began again between Hezbollah and Israeli troops, resulting in 3 Hezbollah gunmen being moited.
Yeah, but I think these guys are acting on their own.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the casualties so far. Casualties in Israel. At least 900 Israelis were killed, including 73 soldiers. See, all the other ones are wounded. I think
it's
civilians.
Up to 1,000 now.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Over 2,500 wounded.
And like 3,500 wounded.
And 130 to 150 IDF soldiers and civilians taken hostage.
And I think it's like 200.
At least 1 civilian death was reported in Kfar Aviv, while 3 people were reportedly injured in Ashkelon and Yevne. 9 people were fatally shot at a bus shelter in Sderot. At least 4 people were reported killed in Kuseif. At least 400 casualties were reported in Ashkelon, while 280 others were reported in Beersheba, 60 of which were in a serious condition.
Terrible.
The head of the Sha'ar HaNegev Regional Council, Ophir Lipstein, was killed in exchange of fire with the militants.
It's rough. Police commander of Rahat, Yahir Davidov, was also moited. The IDF confirmed that 73 of its soldiers had been moited. Among their confirmed dead were Colonel Jonathan Steinberg, the commander of the Nahal Brigade, who was killed, who was moited near the Karim Shalom. And you also have Colonel Roy, I don't know if I'm saying that, ROI Levy, commander of the multidimensional ghost unit. Damn, it wasn't very ghostly, was he? He was killed.
Well, he is now.
He was moited near Kibbutz Rahim. And Lieutenant Colonel Eli Ginsberg, commander of the Lotar Counterterrorism Unit School.
All dead, huh? October 7th, Hamas militants killed hundreds of attendees at a music festival in Raim. As of October 8th, over 260 bodies had been recovered from the site of the massacre by rescue agency Zaka.
That's crazy.
Other attendees were wounded or taken hostage. Among these killed was former Hapoel Tel Aviv FC striker Lior Asselon.
Oh, shit.
4 people were injured in Tel Aviv following a Hamas rocket barrage on October 7th as well. A child was injured in a rocket attack on Ashkelon on the night of 9th of October.
At least 100 Israelis were taken prisoner by Hamas and transported to the Gaza Strip. 8th of October, Palestinian Islamic Jihad claimed to be holding at least 30 captives. At least 4 people were reportedly taken from Kfar Haza. A photograph was released appearing to show Israeli Major General Nimrod Aloni, commander of the IDF Depth Corps, being held by Palestinians. Hamas also claimed to have captured him as well. A Persian language post by the IDF on X, formerly known as Twitter, quoted a post about his capture from the Tasnim news agency and wrote, Tasnim, distributors of fake news of IRGC, without either denying or confirming the capture of Aloni. So they didn't do that at all, huh?
Maybe.
Videos from Gaza, they appeared to show captured people, with Gazan residents cheering trucks carrying dead bodies. An MDA ambulance was also reportedly taken by the militants to Gaza. 4 captives were later reported to have been killed in Be'eri, while Hamas claimed that the IDF airstrike on Gaza on the 9th of October killed 4 captives.
Yeah, well, might have.
Like, you just killed your own people, guys.
All right, well, let's take a look at the casualties in Palestine. Following Israel's airstrikes in response, the Palestinian Ministry of Health, led by the Hamas government in Gaza, said that 413 Palestinians, including 78 children and 41 women, have been killed and about 2,000 others have been injured.
Ridiculous.
Youssef Abu al-Rish, the top Palestinian health official in Gaza, stated that most casualties were from firefights inside Israel. Right. Reporters for the Associated Press in the Gaza Strip saw funerals being held for 15 victims and 8 other bodies in hospital.
I mean, you got to have funerals.
Right.
Can't just let these bodies just lay there. Jeez, oh, Pete. At least 1 person was reported to have been moited in an airstrike on the Indonesian hospital in the northern Gaza. 4 Palestinians were moited and 5 others were wounded in clashes with the IDF along Gaza's perimeter fence. 5 Palestinian militants were reported to have been moited in Sderot. Medicine Sans Fronteras said a nurse and an ambulance driver were murdered in Israeli strikes on 2 hospitals. Yeah, but everybody knows underneath the hospitals is where the... But still, did you bomb a hospital?
Well, they did. Only 2 people died.
Palestinian media reported that several casualties occurred after an Israeli aircraft fired a missile at an ambulance in front of the Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis.
A paramedic was reported to be in critical condition from that.
Oh, no.
Doctors Without Borders stated that Israel attacked the Indonesian hospital de Gaza in the Gaza Strip, killing 1 nurse, 1 ambulance driver, and injuring several others. The Indonesian Medical Emergency Rescue Committee later confirmed that a local staff member was killed near an operational hospital vehicle. The Indonesian Foreign Ministry later confirmed that the fatality was not an Indonesian national, but a Palestinian. They're like, all right, we're all good.
All right. Jeez. 10 civilians were reportedly murdered in a strike on a residential building in Shabora near Khan Yunis. A Hamas leader named Ayman Yonis was reported to have been moited on the 8th of October after shelling. 19 people, including the leader of a local armed group, were moited in an airstrike in Rafah on the 9th of October. At least 50 people were reportedly murdered in an airstrike on the Jabalia camp on 9th of October. Jeez. The United Nations said that the fighting had displaced more than 123,000 Palestinians. They don't know where to go and what they're going to do. It also said that Israeli airstrikes had destroyed 159 housing units and severely damaged 1,210 others. The UNRWA said a school sheltering more than 225 people was struck. Let's take a look at foreign and dual national casualties as well. The Nepali ambassador to Israel, Kanta Rajal, said that at least 7 of his nationals in the country were injured in the attack, and that they along with 10 others, were held captive by Hamas at an agriculture farm in Alumim.
The Nepalese embassy later confirmed that 10 Nepalese students were killed during the attack in the area of Kibbutz Alumim. Israeli media also reported that migrant workers from Thailand and the Philippines were also taken captive by the Palestinian militants.
The Thai Ministry of Foreign Affairs later confirmed that 18 of its nationals were moited during the Palestinian attack, while 8 others were injured and 11 were captured by the militants. The Philippine embassy also confirmed that 2 Filipinos were injured in the attacks, with authorities verifying reports of Filipinos being held captive by Hamas. 8 Filipinos were rescued by the IDF, while a Foreign Affairs undersecretary said that between 5 and 6 Filipinos were unaccounted for still. A German-Israeli national was moited while attending the music festival. A video of Palestinians parading her near-naked body in a car was circulated on the internet.
At this point, I'm pretty sure everybody has seen that.
Right. Her credit card was probably used subsequently in Gaza. Oh, jeez.
Damn. Several other German citizens were reported to be among those kidnapped by the militants. At least 10 British citizens were reported as dead or missing, including 1 attendee of the music festival. 8 French nationals, 2 Ukrainians, a Cambodian student, and a Chilean woman were also confirmed to have been killed by Hamas. At least 14 Americans were killed during the attacks as well, with reports of more missing and captives held in Gaza. Mexico's Secretary of Foreign Affairs reported that 2 Mexican nationals were presumed dead, were presumed to have been taken hostage by Hamas.
You think this is supposed to be like a jab at the whole world? They want another world war.
They're just killing anybody. Especially Americans. That's one people you don't want to say you are over here.
Right. But I don't even think Biden said anything about those 14 Americans killed.
Not that I've seen.
Or any other country. So they're just going to take their citizens being murdered? I mean, I guess.
What are you going to do?
Right. You're in a country you shouldn't be.
How many foreign people were killed in...
You're in a remote, small town of Israel, close to the Gaza Strip, partying.
How many people, foreign people, were killed in 9/11?
It's true.
Hundreds, probably.
Right. One Brazilian national was reported as injured. 3 were reported missing. An Indian caregiver was injured by a rocket barrage in Ashkelon. Spanish Foreign Minister Jose Manuel Alvarez said that 2 Spaniards were attacked without specifying their condition. Probably just little scuffles or something.
No, probably not.
Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani, he stated that an Italian-Israeli couple went missing in Bahrain. 2 Tanzanians, got some Tanzanians? 2 Tanzanian students were reported by their embassy to be missing.
Damn, they just wanted to go over there to study and look at that. The Russian embassy stated that 4 Russian nationals went missing following the attack as well. 4 Argentinians were reported to have been killed and 3 reported missing. The Canadian government stated that a Canadian was killed and that 2 other Canadians were missing. A Paraguayan couple was reported killed, with the government also reporting 2 nationals missing. An Irish attendee of the music festival was reported missing.
Dude, that's how crazy Israel is. What other country are you going to find all those people?
America.
In one spot?
America.
No, you're not.
Go to New York. You'll find every single one of those people just mentioned.
Not at a rave. Maybe at a rave. Probably, besides America.
Israel's got a lot of dual citizens, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why anybody would go to a rave on the southern border of Israel.
Well, I'm sure they've done it 100 times.
I don't get it.
This music festival is a yearly thing.
Right.
Never been attacked.
Can't say nothing.
I don't even know. Who knows if Hamas even knew that it was... They probably was just... That was where they were landing. It was like, look at all these motherfuckers. Made it easy for us to start, huh?
Like, damn, guys, look at this.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at negotiations.
I will say, I was looking at a list of deadliest terrorist attacks in 2023, and none have over like 50.
Right.
And this one at the music festival was by far the most this year.
The Las Vegas thing.
Well, worse than that.
Right.
Las Vegas only had like 80 killed.
Right. Let's take a look at...
I'd say only.
Right. Let's take a look at negotiations. 9th of October, Reuters reported that Qatar was mediating talks between Israel and Hamas to secure the release of female Israeli prisoners in exchange for Israel releasing 36 Palestinian women and children.
All the males are like, what the fuck, man?
Right. Israel had not confirmed such negotiations were taking place, though.
Well, let's take a look at some reactions.
Israel has not confirmed anything. They claim to be open.
Right.
You got all these live videos of the idea of commander guy.
He's following daily updates and shit.
Daily updates, but yet, come on.
All right. Well, don't give away too much. Let's take a look at some reactions, specifically first reactions in Israel. The protest group Kaplan Force announced cancellation of its demonstration against the judicial reform plan for I would hope you would, 7th October in Tel Aviv. Now is not the time to be protesting your
judicial rights.
Your judicial shit.
I don't think they're worried about trying it right now.
The group expressed support for the IDF, stating that they were standing by the IDF and the security forces carrying out their duties during this difficult time and hope for the restoration of calm and security.
Yep.
Forum 555 and Brothers in Arms, a protest group of reservist soldiers that organized boycotts of the military draft in protests against the judicial reform, called on reservists to serve if they were called up. They're like, see, yeah. This is kind of a 9/11. What did 9/11 do?
United everybody.
Brought everybody together. Now it doesn't matter. This is what's going to happen in Israel. What has happened.
In Megan, David Adam appealed for blood donations and announced plans for a special blood donation drive in Tel Aviv on the 7th of October.
Don't they say that donating blood in like mass casualty situations and stuff like this does nothing? Mm-hmm. Because 9 times out of 10, well, a lot of the times the blood gets bad because there's so much getting donated that they can't use it.
It's worthless. Yeah. Israel's education ministry announced the closure of all schools in the country on the 7th of October. It was Saturday. They go to school on Saturday.
They probably go year round, but it's Israel. Every day.
No breaks except Sunday.
Well, no Friday.
Oh,
it's Friday is the day they're not allowed to do anything.
This was later extended until
Jews at least.
Right. This was later extended until the 10th of October.
So they're back in school? No.
After today.
All right.
Right. Yeah, they'll be back in school tomorrow.
I doubt it.
Think that
should be indefinitely suspended. How about that?
The Haifa International Film Festival was canceled. Bruno Mars, he's canceled his scheduled concert in Tel Aviv on 7th of October due to the attacks, and he left Israel.
Bye.
October 8th, UEFA canceled. UEFA canceled all scheduled football matches in Israel for the coming 2 weeks, including a qualifier for the Euro 2024 tournament between Israel and Switzerland on the 12th of October.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was Israel and Palestine?
Right.
An investigation was launched as to the failure of Israeli authorities to prevent the attack from occurring. Ofer Kassif, a member of the Knesset, told Al Jazeera that his left-wing Hadash party had repeatedly warned the continued Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories would lead to events like this,
right,
where innocent civilians on both sides pay the price.
Clearly. I don't know why anybody would hold any concerts there.
Well, concerts, but still.
I wouldn't even do that.
Why is the Israeli defense forces not prepared for anything like this?
They are. There's idiots.
He called the Israeli government fascists and accused of it carrying out pogroms and acts of ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian population.
Oh, wow. Haaretz, a major Israeli newspaper, published an editorial on the 8th of October, which said that the attack was the clear responsibility of one person, Benjamin Netanyahu. Right?
Netanyahu.
That's what they said.
Right.
The paper described the prime minister as having completely failed to identify the dangers he was consciously leading Israel into when establishing a government of annexation and dispossession. On the 9th of October, the paper published an article by Alan Pincus saying that Netanyahu should no longer be the prime minister. Pincus wrote, "There is a clear and present danger." That is in my VHS tape. There is a clear and present danger that all his wartime decisions against Hamas will be polluted by personal, legal, and petty political considerations. He has been a poor prime minister from Lebanon to China.
Let's take a look at proposed emergency unity government they're saying they want. Among opposition parties, Yesh Atid, the leader and former prime minister, Yair Lapid, and National Unity Chairman Benny Gantz,
Benny Gantz,
Yisrael Bettinu, party leader Avigdor Lieberman, and Labor Party leader Merav Migali said a joint statement, or they issued a joint statement expressing full backing for the IDF and unity with the government, saying, "In times like these, there is no opposition and coalition in Israel."
Okay.
Netanyahu proposed that the Yesh Atid and National Unity enter an emergency unity government with his Likud-led coalition after Lapid urged Netanyahu put aside our differences and form an emergency, narrow, professional government.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Lepid said that Israel could not effectively manage the war with the extreme and dysfunctional composition of the current cabinet. It's like, there's no way. And he called upon Netanyahu to eject the far-right religious Zionist party and Atzma Yadu parties as a condition for Yesh Atid to join an emergency
Also, now you want these
government.
conditions. You guys are fucking idiots, dude.
Wow.
Politicians are the
They're
worst.
dumb. They've seen their chance. It's like, now we
Right.
can get rid of these far-right.
Exactly.
The National Unity Party met with Likud on the 9th of October to discuss a possible unity government, with National Unity likely to join such an arrangement. Uh-oh.
Well, let's take a look at reactions in Palestine. The Palestinian Education Ministry said schools in the Gaza Strip were closed until further notice, I would assume. The Palestinian Health Ministry appealed for blood donations. At an emergency meeting with officials of the Palestinian Authority, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that the Palestinians had the right to defend themselves against the terror of settlers and occupation troops.
I mean, they're both saying the same thing.
Yeah, in the West Bank, celebrations occurred in Ramallah. Neighborhood watches were established in 50 locations amid fears of reprisal by Israeli settlers, while a general strike was called for on the 8th of October. It's just a shit show over there.
Terrible. 7 Palestinians were murdered in clashes with Israeli forces on the 7th of October, while 126 were injured. Clashes on the 8th of October killed 6 more Palestinians. Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Harari, he told Al Jazeera that his forces had taken enough Israeli hostages to secure the release of Palestinian prisoners in Israel and for an exchange. They're like, we can back and forth, boys. Let's do it. Red Rover, mofos. Hamas spokesperson Abu Abadea said it was holding captured Israeli soldiers in safe places and tunnels. A spokesperson for Palestinian Islamic Jihad stated, they did not consider Israeli citizens to be civilians.
Oh, jeez.
We are not killing civilians. This is a military society. They are the ones who elect their governments.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, damn.
That's not going to get you no sympathy.
No.
Well, at least with normal, rational thinking people. But let's take a look at how Iran reacted. Supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, did not claim responsibility for the attacks, but instead said that he was proud of the militants.
Oh, wow.
They used our money well, the Americans' money well. He also posted a video from the war on X, resulting in criticism by Elon Musk. He warned Israel of future consequences. 3 days prior, he warned Saudi Arabia not to bet on the losing horse.
Ooh, damn, Iran's like, dude, you don't even know what we got.
Stupid. Well, they are a nuclear
Yes, they are.
nuclear power.
We think we know what they have, but good luck on that. Take a look at international views. International leaders, including Argentina, India, Taiwan, United States, and most European countries, condemn the attacks by Hamas.
And others.
Right. They expressed solidarity with Israel and said that Israel had a right to defend itself from armed attacks and describing Hamas tactics as terrorism. We do not.
Negotiate with terrorists?
Yes. President of the United States, Joe Biden, he announced that Hamas had set a goal of killing Jews. Well, Austria, Germany, and Sweden, and Hungary, they suspended humanitarian aid to the Palestinians in response to Hamas attack and said that they would review other projects and aid given in further time. They're like,
right.
We don't know, buds. Right now, as of now,
You get nothing.
nothing. The European Union also announced it would review aid to the Palestinian authorities, though not suspending them.
All right. Some Arab League countries such as Oman, Yemen, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and non-Arab countries like Iran, Pakistan, and North Korea expressed support for the Palestinians because, of course, blaming the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories for the escalation of violence. A number of other countries called for de-escalation and a ceasefire. Demonstrations took place in many Middle Eastern countries such as Yemen, Jordan, Lebanon, Kuwait, Turkey, Bahrain, and Iran in solidarity with the Palestinian groups.
Yep.
Argentina, Canada, Germany, United Kingdom, Spain, France, and Uruguay stated that they would increase security in Jewish associated sites in response to the attack.
I mean, you got to, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure in England or London, whatever the hell you want to call it, there's been a bunch of attacks on Jewish
Oh, I'm sure.
neighborhoods and shit already. So
Sure, bud. Numerous countries of the Muslim world cited the denial of Palestinian self-determination as the root cause of the escalation. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, United Arab Emirates,
Arab.
Bahrain, Morocco, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Turkey demanded de-escalation. Qatar and Malaysia cited the violent incursions into El Aqsa Mosque by Zionist settlers as one of the major reasons that triggered this war, with Qatar urging countries across the world to stop the IDF attacks.
Afghanistan declared its support of the Palestinian military operations, describing it as the defense and resistance of the people of Palestine. Hamas said Iran assisted with its attacks. The Iranian Foreign Ministry denied any direct role in the attack.
Like, you idiots, shut up.
Direct role.
Right.
While praising the military operations as a spontaneous movement of Palestinian resistance against the aggression of Zionist occupier regime. October 8th, the United Nations Security Council held a closed-door meeting for 90 minutes on the conflict. The meeting concluded without the unanimity required for a joint statement to be released. They're like, nobody can agree on this shit.
Oh, Brazil, they announced a rescue operation of nationals using an Air Force transport aircraft. A plane.
Right. Well, aircraft, yes.
Right. Poland announced that it would deploy 2 C-130 transport planes to evacuate 200 of its nationals from Ben Gurion Airport. Hungary, they evacuated 215 of its nationals from Israel using 2 aircrafts on 9th of October, while Romania evacuated 245 of its citizens, including 2 pilgrimage groups on 2 Tehran planes and 2 private aircraft that very same day. An Egyptian official told the Associated Press that Israel sought Egyptian assistance to ensure the safety of hostages held by Palestinian militants, and that Egypt's intelligence chief contacted Hamas and Islamic Jihad to seek info.
And they were probably like, screw you.
Right.
Egyptian officials reportedly mediated the release of Palestinian women in Israeli prisons in exchange for Israeli women captured by Palestinian militants.
Woman, child for child.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered the deployment of a naval strike group led by the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford to the eastern Mediterranean.
It's true.
The group also included the cruiser USS Normandy and the destroyers USS Thomas Hudner, USS Ramage, USS Carney, and the USS Roosevelt. The U.S. Air Force augmented its F-35, F-15, F-16, and A-10 fighter squadrons in the region. They're prepared to just they're ready. Hamas called the move an attempt to boost the morale of the crumbling Israeli army and participation in the aggression against our people.
Crazy stuff there, bud. Take a look at the economic impact. Following the outbreak of fighting, the price of Brent crude climbed by $2.50 a barrel to $87.05. Of course, everybody just waiting on this shit. While the price of West Texas Intermediate crude rose by $2.70 a barrel to $85.50. The Israeli Energy Ministry ordered Chevron to temporarily shut down the offshore Tamar gas field. I bet they did. The price of gold increased by $20 an ounce to reach $1,851 on October 9th. That's actually a good thing.
Right. Well, yeah,
that's the best thing about
who's going to afford $1,850 an ounce.
Right.
An ounce ain't that much.
No. 8th of October, Israel's TA-35 index fell by 6.47%. By 6.47%. Its largest loss since 2020.
That must be their stock market.
Right. The value of the new Israeli shekel, it fell by 1.63%. To trade at $3.90 against the United States dollar. Its weakest showing in 7 years.
Well, in response, the Bank of Israel announced on October 9th that it would sell up to $30 billion in foreign reserves to support and provide up to $15 billion in liquidity to the market through swap mechanisms.
Damn, dude.
This was the Israeli Central Bank's first ever sale of foreign exchange. Iran's stock market index also fell by 2.5%.
Ooh, Iran was like, shit. Right. We knew this was going to happen, guys.
Right. Just hold on. Just hold.
According to Daniel Byman and Alexander Palmer, the attack showcased the decline of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, and the rise of Hamas as the main power center.
Yeah, because the PLO were the main ones.
Right.
Hamas split off from them, actually.
Right. Hamas is actually running.
Well, Hamas was elected in 2006.
Crazy.
To run the fucking Gaza Strip.
They predicted the PLO's further decline if the status quo held, citing the Israeli intelligence failure, which some observers attributed to the incumbent government focusing more on internal dissent, the judiciary reform, and efforts to deepen Israel's occupation of the West Bank. Yeah, they weren't even caring about what was going to happen in Gaza.
Too much shit going on politically internally. That's exactly what America's doing right now.
Some commentators...
If we were bordered... Like in Europe,
dude,
we would have already been invaded or fucking attacked.
Don't worry, it'll be from within.
Well, all right.
Some commentators criticizing it, not you.
Well, actually, there's
Netanyahu?
supposedly
Netanyahu?
Mexico near the border. Netanyahu. By the border, there's training grounds for Palestinian groups and Hamas and shit.
You already know that. Some commentators criticized Netanyahu for putting aside PLO and propping up Hamas, and described him as a liability. Like I said, Israel basically created Hamas.
No, they didn't.
They made him stronger.
Well, they didn't.
They did.
Well, they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. The PLO created Hamas, and they broke off of the PLO.
And Israel.
And Israel apparently is just Netanyahu guy's an idiot. According to Israeli analyst Seth Fratzman, the attack signified a notable escalation in the ongoing conflict. No shit.
Right.
It stood out for a substantial scale and reach, encompassing both rocket fire and border attacks in Gaza. This event marked a significant departure from prior conflicts, which typically followed a phased progression with a gradual escalation of tensions. It has been compared to the 1973 Yom Kippur War, the 2001 September 11th attacks, not even near it, the 2003 Ramadan Offensive, and the 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, not even near it, and the 1968 Tet Offensive, not even near that. Why do you guys have to compare it to stuff?
Right.
Like the Viet Cong Tet Offensive, Hamas's offensive came on the morning of a holiday. Seemed to be everywhere at once and demonstrated capabilities not thought possible in a guerrilla force. Yeah, that Tet Offensive did fuck people up, though.
Crazy.
Not like this, though. They fucked up the Americans and the South Vietnam, dude. Or North Vietnam. Who we wanted to win? We wanted the South to win. Yeah, North Vietnam fucked these guys up, dude. With that Tet Offensive.
Dude, North Vietnam fucked everybody up.
Yes, they did. and Cambodians.
Ridiculous. Israeli intelligence failure. Political journalist Peter Beaumont, he described the attack as an intelligence failure for the ages. He said on the part of the Israeli government.
Oh, no shit.
Similarly, the Jewish news syndicate deemed it a failure of imagination. A BBC report tackled the intelligence failure question, claiming that while Israel had the most extensive and well-funded intelligence agency in the region, and a network of informants and agents inside militant groups, it failed to foresee the escalation.
Did it, though?
It added that it must have taken extraordinary levels of operational securities by Hamas.
Did it, though? I'm sad that this article doesn't have conspiracy theories. I'm sure that they'll come out, but they've already been coming out.
Right. It's ridiculous.
About...
Egypt was like, dude.
This is going to be considered Israel's 9/11 compared to...
Right.
The conspiracies that's about to surround all this.
It's already happening. It's just staged. They want this to happen. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, who says anybody's right or wrong on that?
Exactly.
U.S. officials expressed shock at how Israeli intelligence was unaware of any preparations by Hamas. You know, this group just operating in a 25-mile-long strip that's only 5 miles wide. Not hard to see that.
You guys ain't exactly on talking terms.
Right.
So
Amir Avivi, former deputy commander of the Gaza division of Israel's military, told the Financial Times, which reported that the attack shook faith in the country's intelligence services.
Obviously.
That this is a failure that is no smaller than the Yom Kippur War. An unnamed Egyptian intelligence officer told the Associated Press that Egypt warned them an explosion of the situation is coming, and very soon, and it would be big. But they underestimated such warnings. Yaakov Amador, a former national security advisor to Netanyahu, said the attack proves that the intelligent abilities in Gaza were no good.
Or they were. They just weren't listening.
Well, they just didn't give a shit. Because, like whoever said earlier, they were too busy infighting and party against party bullshit.
Right. Exactly. Sources in Hamas and Israel's military establishment told Reuters. That the attack was a culmination of a years-long campaign by Hamas to deceive Israel into thinking that the group was primarily interested in economic and governance issues instead of fighting. An IDF colonel anonymously reported to the Middle East Eye that intelligence units had detected Hamas training activities but misjudged their intent. They assessed that they would be used in a series of separate attacks rather than one large.
Like, don't worry. They're still going to attack, just separate ones.
Little small groups here and there.
A bunch of idiots.
They're like, nope.
Let's take a look at some of the context of the Israeli occupation before we wrap it up with some war crimes accusations. Many analysts stressed that the Palestinian attacks came in the context of the Israeli occupation. Stephen M. Walt wrote that Palestinians feel they have no choice but to use force against the occupier, and that the Palestinian offensive was a violent response to Israel's decades-long treatment of Palestinians. The Hindu wrote that the Israeli occupation was the longest in modern history, and that created a Cuban volcano. According to the Associated Press, Palestinians are in despair over a never-ending occupation in the West Bank and suffocating blockade of Gaza.
Except for it's not the longest in history. Israel had been there for thousands of years.
Israel didn't exist.
Israel existed forever.
I don't even think there's a mention of Israel in the Bible.
Millions of times. It's ridiculous.
It's not directly called Israel.
Yes, it's been called exactly Israel.
It's called Israel.
Roger Cohen wrote that the increasing Israeli control over millions of Palestinians incubated bloodshed. Prior to the attack, Saudi Arabia had warned Israel of an explosion as a result of the continued occupation. Like, dude, it's about to explode in your face, bud. Israel was like, yeah, we got it.
All right.
Who are they?
Mind your business.
Right. According to Dawud Kutab, that means David.
Okay. All right.
Dawud. Yep.
Dawud.
Yep. Dawud.
All right.
Yep. Kutab. According to Dawud Kutab, Egypt had. According to Dawud Kutab, Egypt warned Israel of catastrophe unless there was political progress. And similar warnings were given by the Palestinian Authority officials. They even told you.
Right. They're like, hey, man, we're going to do it. They're like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Call my bluff.
Well, the Palestinian Authority is different than Hamas.
Obviously. Right. Less than 2 months before the attacks, King Abdullah II of Jordan had lamented the Palestinians have no civil rights, no freedom of mobility. They don't.
Well, Simon Tisdale pointed to the uptick in Israeli-Palestinian violence in 2023 as portending war. Yeah, because they had a major thing in like January or something. And claimed that Netanyahu refused to negotiate the peace process, adding fuel to the fire.
Fuel to the fire.
Many Israelis assumed the Palestinian question had become a non-issue.
Uh-oh.
And in the rights of, when you get complacent, that's when shit hits the fan. Mm-hmm. And the rights of Palestinians were ignored, they say. Youssef Munayir writes that the Biden administration had ignored the Palestinian issue. And the Biden administration knows everything.
All right.
A Biden administration official boasted on 29th of September that the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades. Lie. The Palestinian issue disappeared from the global agenda, they say.
Wow. Ridiculous. According to analysts in The Dependent, the blockade on Gaza created hopelessness among Palestinians, and this was exploited by Hamas, who convinced young Palestinian men that violence was the only solution. Dawud Kutab writes that Palestinian attempts to solve the conflict via negotiations or nonviolent boycotts have been fruitless. The Times of Israel tell Schneider, he wrote, 4 years, the various governments led by Benjamin Netanyahu took an approach that divided power between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, bringing Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to his knees while making moves that propped up the Hamas terror group. They did, dude. Telling you. The idea was to prevent Abbas or anyone else in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing toward the establishment of a Palestinian state.
Let's take a look on the effect of the Israeli-Saudi Arabian normalization thing that they were about to complete. In an analysis by the Times of Israel, the newspaper wrote that Hamas has violently shifted the world's eyes back to the Palestinians and dealt a severe blow to the momentum for securing a landmark U.S. Trump-brokered deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia. New York Times reported that the prospects of Israeli and Saudi normalization appeared dimmer, citing Saudi Arabia's statement that the country had repeatedly warned of the dangers of the explosion of the situation as a result of the occupation.
Okay.
And they said the deprivation of the Palestinian people and their legitimate rights and the repetition of systemic provocations against its sanctities. It sounds like Saudi Arabia doesn't want to do anything with Israel at this point.
They don't want to do anything with anybody. Andreas
America.
Right. Andreas Kluth, he wrote in this Bloomberg News column that Hamas torched Biden's deal to remake the Middle East.
What is Biden's deal? But okay.
Arguing that the deal was being discussed between Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States would have left Palestinians in the cold. So the group decided to blow the whole thing up. He also added, viewed from Gaza, things were only going to get worse, considering Netanyahu's coalition partners opposed a two-state solution for the conflict, and that they would prefer to annex the entirety of the West Bank. Damn. Even at the expense of turning Israel into an apartheid state, something critics have long claimed as Israel's goal.
Yeah, old South Africa type deal, huh?
Right.
Speculation arose that Iran was trying to sabotage relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia, with former head of the research for Shin Bet, Naomi Newman, saying the attack could have been timed in part due to Iran's hopes to scuttle efforts to normalize relations between Israel and its Sunni rival. 9th of October, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani denied claims of Tehran's involvement in the Hamas attack.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's take a look if this war will spread. Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, speculated the war would spread to Jerusalem and the West Bank. Hashim Safi al-Din, head of Hezbollah's executive council, echoed these sentiments. Max Abrams, a political scientist at Northeastern University, stated that the conflict would escalate into a war between Israel and Iran.
Could, not would. Let's take a look at the effect on Russian invasion of Ukraine, because who cares about that? Why would that affect anything?
Right.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky warned against diverting attention from... please still look at us and send us billions.
Right, idiot.
Russian propaganda celebrated the war, calling it an intelligence failure of the West and hoping it would divert attention from the war. Okay, good for you. They had to throw those guys in there. Nobody cares about you guys. Sorry.
Take a look at war crimes. According to The Intercept, both sides are committing war crimes in this conflict. Hamas massacre of civilians and taking of at least 150 hostages are war crimes, while Amnesty International said in a statement, Israel has a horrific track record of committing war crimes with impunity in previous wars on Gaza. And United Nations Commission said there is clear evidence that war crimes may have been committed in the latest explosion.
Clear evidence they may have been committed.
Right, of the violence in Israel and Gaza. And all those have violated international law and targeted civilians must be held accountable.
Let's take a look at some of the alleged Palestinian war crimes. According to Human Rights Watch, Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups infiltrated homes, shot civilians en masse, and took scores of Israeli citizens as hostages into Gaza.
Right.
It said that the deliberate targeting of civilians, indiscriminate attacks, and taking of civilians as hostages amount to war crimes under international humanitarian law.
Clearly.
Right.
Footage from the attacks on the music festival, posted on the Telegram channel, included graphic depictions of murdering and hostage taking. These actions have been described by legal experts as constituting war crimes and likely crimes against humanity. I don't know about war crimes because they weren't in war yet declared.
Doesn't matter.
So that'd be crimes against humanity, right?
Either or.
The attack by the Palestinian groups has been categorized by the Israeli government as a war crime.
All right, let's stick with the alleged Israeli war crimes. October 9th, Israel announced it was cutting off food, water, medicine, and electricity to the Gaza Strip.
That's a major war crime.
According to Human Rights Watch, such punitive measures against Gaza's civilian population amount to unlawful collective punishment, which is a war crime. The Norwegian Refugee Council warned that it could lead to wounded children dying in hospitals because of lack of energy, electricity, and supplies.
I mean,
which would amount to war crimes.
You're stuck in a situation there where these fighters are using these people as shields and stuff. So what do you do? I mean, what do you do? Try to get them out of there while fighting at the same time? Grab a kid and shoot? Grab a kid in your arm and shoot the perpetrator right there and run? I don't know if you do that, right?
I don't know, but that's the end of this article for now. Like I said,
Crazy.
It's only the 10th of October when we're reading this, and you can bet your bottom dollar that this article will grow and grow and grow and grow.
Both sides are doing some crazy shit, and it's just ridiculous. Over
what do they say?
Religion.
What do they say? It'll get, well, that's
over land.
99% of war is over religion.
It's actually money.
Religion.
Right. Money.
Religion.
It is money.
Every war in history has been over religion.
And money.
Religion.
Right. It's crazy shit.
Yeah. We'll try to get, we're going to get this out on Wednesday, which will be the 11th, but I'm sure there'll be 100 more things that are already added to this and have been going on, but at least you got the lowdown about,
got the gist.
Pretty much just why it happened, what's happening, and what maybe to come. So with that,
your best bet is to go back to 1973.
73, actually 1940 something.
1930.
Well, read the article on the
right.
Read the article on the whole
shit.
The whole
done.
confrontation between these guys, Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Yes.
And it tells you all the whole. We were going to read that, but that's like a 3-hour article, and we wanted to get an episode out at least to give you guys a little background on it. And with that, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Give us a subscription. This is a special episode, too, according to Wikipedia, in 1 week, guys. We just did an episode on Grand Theft Auto 5, ironically. Murdering and killing in that video game.
Right.
And then also, if you're listening on podcast, Apple or Spotify, give us a review, and we shall be back next week for
something.
I don't know. What did we... Japan.
Oh, Japanan?
We
no.
spun our little wheel in Japan. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll start doing stuff like this, actually, instead of spinning a stupid wheel. We'll see what's popular in the news this week and do like an article on that or something. I don't know. We'll be back either way next week for more, according to Wikipedia. We are the Monthly Machine with